sure we don't think that was a part of the meeting, so.
Thank you. Our recess has ended. Motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Eric in the second.
A second.
Second by Councilwoman LaFront. Meeting is back in session. We left off with departmental reports.
And I'm gonna pick up. I'm just gonna, give me 1 second. So, Councilman Eric and reconvene, and who's second?
Councilwoman LaCroix.
So, just give me 1 second. I'm gonna finish out my report, and then we're gonna let you come back, okay?
Oh, I'm doing it.
You done with your report? Did you do
They have it.
the
The only
numbers?
thing we have is a motion on the floor for the, on-site equipment and the decals.
Did you come? Did you come?
So I'm gonna suggest that we do what you did, is that you go ahead and that we come back. There is a motion still on the floor, but
So, Mayor and Council, I'm gonna pick up with my report here, and I'm gonna pass around several documentations. So the first one is you're gonna take one and pass it around to the table. And then, that is the month of May. Keep everything the way it is. This is the month of June coming next. Just kind of put them in order so that you can go along with me. What I'm giving you next are May expenditures. Things that I went through the account in May. All your excess put in the middle of the table, please. Next coming, it will be June expenditures. Here. And where we are so far in July. Okay, that's general fund. Please keep everything in order. I probably should have gave them to you all at a different time. Next, you have May expenditures for water. June expenses for water. And what has occurred through the account as of July for water. I think my staff kind of stapled these backwards, but bear with me, I'll explain it to you. This is what gross payroll looks like with just numbers. From May to July, she stapled them backwards, but I'm gonna walk you through each one of these, okay? Let me have one back for the attorney. Okay, and I'm gonna walk you through each one of them, so. What I gave you were the receipts allocations for May, June, and we're still inputting for July. We're in July. And I gave you expenditures for general fund and water for May, June, and July so far, okay? And then I gave you what payroll looks like. I'll come back, since you have a lot of sheets, I'll give you allocation reports for May and June, and then I'll go through what we have first, okay? So the first topic we're discussing is the May. It looks like this. It says receipt journal. It looks just like this and has the date May 1st through May 30th at the top. It's about pages 1 through 5. So it has receipts. On that receipt chart, it just talks about all the revenue that we took in, all the monies, who received that money, where did that money come from. So when you're looking at your budget, if you're following along with me, I'm on this sheet right here. It says May. It looks like receipt journal. So when you're getting these sheets every month, this is how we're doing budget when we get to the end of the cycle, okay? So this shows how much money we come in. If you take these sheets at the end of each cycle and tally them up, they're gonna show you the revenue total at the end of the budget cycle. So, but I'm just going over May, and I'm gonna go over June, okay? So this is May, what we took in May. And I did this because we didn't do this discussion in May. Okay, so May looks like we took in $1,983.53 for general property taxes, if you're following along with me. It tells you who paid those property taxes to us, the Perry County Commission, and I'm breaking it down because I know we still have some council members who are new, so I'm just explaining it that way, okay? Sales and use taxes came in, it's completely broken down with that account code there. It goes down to the bottom, it says $97,899.94 for sales and use tax. Is everyone following me? Okay, you flip the page there, we're on gasoline taxes. So for gasoline taxes, we took in, this is outside of the state taxes for gasoline, it was $1,937.02. Okay, cigarette taxes for the month of May, we had $477.63 that were receipted. Again, it tells you who paid us, when they paid us, and gives you the receipt number for our manual books. Okay, alcohol beverage taxes, $12.87. Automobile tax, casual tax from the Perry County Revenue Commission was $595.01. Wine taxes at $58.66. Franchise tax at $6,136.76. Leasing taxes, this is going to be your $434.47. It tells you every customer that paid and how much they gave us, okay? It says, you see little stuff there like Verizon leasing, Mercedes, someone has a Mercedes that they're leasing, or Porsche, or any of those things. Whatever that leasing company is paying us, these are the companies that are paying us per month, okay? So you're wanting to know who we're receiving monies from, this is who we're receiving monies from. Lodging tax, $426.73. I know Councilwoman LaCroix had a question about the lodging tax thing, and we're still battling that because we should be getting those taxes from Sleep In. That's revenue that we're slacking on. That's some homework for you guys that we can be pushing out for our legal standpoint, okay? Non-business license tax, $264, which should be under business license. That's the business license tax. Revenue sharing, this is what we share with the state that they sent us down. Our revenue sharing came in at 7 cents. So all of that money that I'm telling you have for road and bridges and streets, that came in, 7 cents was $1,871.46. I'm gonna try to fly through this a little bit. 4 cents gas tax was $2,116.64. Refill Alabama tax came in at $25.45.22. That's $2,545.22. Refill Alabama diesel is $948.02. Financial excise tax came in from January through March was $11,114.24. While we're on, before we go past that, this is what your gas tax looks like, and it's received from the state of Alabama each month. You can also, the public wanted to look at this, these reports can be found online at the Alabama Department of Revenue. You just scroll down to the bottom of the screen there, and you'll see, I think it says gas tax distribution, but it's not up there, but you can go to www, just type in on Google, Alabama Department of Revenue, and you can find this report there. These are the taxes that I just explained to you, but what I gave to you when you see budget each time, I just gave you the report that shows what our taxes look like from October all the way through July, okay? So when you're looking at budget, I'm gonna give you another report that's gonna give you the final numbers for September. So when you're looking at that budget and you're saying, Mrs. Hinton, how did you get this number of this $137,145,000? These are the taxes that are broken down by the state, and you just saw me receipt it for the month of May. If you looked at May and you went to 6 cents, 7 cents, 4 cents, you can match those receipts by this, okay? I just gave you the summary from October all the way to July, okay? This is the data that I'm using to help with budget, okay? So that is for your records. Just keep it and go home and study that, but that gives you from October to July. You're gonna get the rest of it as it comes through September. Any questions about that? It's receipted in your receipts every single month, okay? I just went over May, so you can put that to the side there, but that's your gasoline tax. Back on page 3 of 5, financial excise tax, we're discussing the $11,114.24. Then it's broken down sewer, garbage, and your water and miscellaneous revenue. So your sewer on page 3 of 5 in the month of May there, if you go down to sewer charges, we got $10,290.76. Once we broke everything out, that's what we got for sewer. For your garbage taxes, and those particular, it will match your receipts that are in your bank statements. Your garbage, $16,797.89. And I'm gonna give you an allocation of receipts to show you what that looks like as well. And some of your numbers are gonna be give and take on your allocation of receipts. Okay, your miscellaneous revenue. Councilman Kenny posed a question. He says, Ms. Hinton, how do we know what the depot is doing? Is what he asked me before. I don't know if you remember you asked me that, Councilman Kenny. So this receipt chart, when you're looking at that, you're saying, well, Ms. Hinton, is the depot bringing in any money? We're renting it out. These are the people who rented the depot for those particular months. You'll initially see like $150 because we require them to put that down before we hold the date for them, okay? So you'll see that there, and then you'll see some people pay the balance in its entirety if they have the money for $450. And so on. So that is miscellaneous revenue. Remember when you saw that in the budget, you saw about $20,000, $30,000 in miscellaneous revenue because it's all adding up for depot rentals. You're getting some monies from the area of agency, but it's all broken down on these receipts as to who paid us what. Okay, you're gonna get a full chart of this by the time we do budget. So up until a certain point, you're gonna get from October all the way up until a certain point, okay? And that's gonna show you how we're doing the numbers. Okay, your interest that we earned for the month of May was just $1.11 from the West Alabama Bank, okay? And then your water charges that we collected for the month of May total out to be $36,000. If you look at that last page, it gives you the total for water, $36,542.42. Our grand total for revenue that we took in the month of May was $201,047.19. Okay, those are receipts to the T. Okay, I'm going to go through June and then I'm going to walk you through expended, what we took out of the accounts. I know that's always, well, Ms. Henn, I hear you saying the money, but what did we spend out, okay? So that was May. If you follow next with me, that's June. We'll kind of run through it. It's the same thing, okay? Not going to go talk those particular numbers in details. But sales and use, if you're looking at sales and use, that is one of our biggest revenue. How people buy here, pay here. Sales and use tax is what we hit. It comes in increments. You may get some on the 6th, some on the 16th. Your biggest pile of sales revenue is going to come in by the 26th, okay? So we kind of look for that to help us pay more bills. We just got a little lump probably around the 17th, 18th, which was Friday and Saturday. That is automatically electronically deposited into our account. I go back, read the account receipts for the electronic deposits, and so that you can have a breakdown as to what they put into our accounts. This is collected by Avenue Insight, and they have a contract for this. Remember, we talked about that before. So they're self-collecting this and monitoring the businesses to make sure they're paying those sales and use taxes. $96,158.87, what we took in for the month of June. Gasoline taxes are broken down at $1,946.39. You can take this home to look at it, but I just explained all of this to you. Okay, so these are our receipts. When I'm giving you this in the budget and you're looking at those numbers and you're saying like, she could be giving us any kind of number. No, I'm not. These numbers are actual receipts in our computer, what people are paying to us, and they match our records and our bank statements. This is what has been coming in day by day that we're receiving into the manual receipts, and then we turn over to the computer so that I'm able to give you budget numbers, okay? If you look through all of those taxes on page 3 of 6, if you wanted to match your records for June, remember I just gave you October through July of the state records. I told you can go to the Alabama Department of Revenue to find that record. Those are the taxes for June for 7 cents. When I told you we can fix Mr. Morris Road, when I said we can fix the road on West Cornelius, or we can do the road on Dogwood Lane, we're using these monies here, okay? The 7 cents, the 4 cents, the Rebuild Alabama, those are off limits. Those are earmarked just for street rehabilitation. You cannot do anything except for like road signs or pay the employees who are working on those roads. But that can't come out of 5 cents. It has to come out of 4 cents. 4 cents only allow you to pay those employees. So you'll see me take from West Alabama Bank to cover those things. You cannot do the 5 cents for that, but you can do the 4 cents for that. So those monies are broken down and they're earmarked for special purposes. We cannot commingle those particular accounts. That cannot go in general fund, cannot be used with capital improvement, cannot be payroll for, you know, you can't take that, you can do the 4 cents for street employees, but you can only do street employee salary, but you cannot do anything else with that except for, traffic something, road, asphalt, any of those things. So if I move that from general fund over to that, I can cover asphalt, but it has to be for asphalt, okay? Road rehabilitation. Okay, payment in lieu of taxes, the housing authority, the city came up with this thing with the housing authority where they pay us in lieu of taxes, they pay us a certain amount each year, okay? So the housing authority, if you look on page 3 of 6 there on June, they gave us $6,576. It's called pilot. So you may hear me say pilot. Pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes, okay? So that is that particular tax so that you know what you're looking at when you're seeing it in the receipt charts. These are the numbers that I come up with. Charges for services. Your garbage fees should be combined there. That's one that's out of pocket at $2367.10. But the sewer charges, if you flip over, $6,140.93. Garbage combined on page 4 of 6 with that $2,000 on the previous page, about $22,000 that month. $20,201.04 is what you see. But you go back to that other page, they have 2,000 kind of outputted there, which is me because I received that. But $22,000 miscellaneous revenue. Again, Councilman Depot, you see that rental coming down that page on page 5 of 6. So we also got a little money for an opioid case that they had these opioid things throughout the state of Alabama. Our attorney and some of the other people who are working on that made sure we can get a little revenue off opioid. So that goes under miscellaneous revenue. So all of it together is making up that $30,000 that you're seeing throughout the year. We categorize it like that because we don't have a separate accounting code just for the depot. So we say it's miscellaneous revenue. But when we go through the description, we make sure we put what it was for there. Okay, interest earned $1.29. Water, you got for water was $35,196.41. Grand total for that month was $197,278.13. Okay, so that's what your receipts would look like in revenue. So you're at about what, $400,000 from May and June that we took in. Got it? Okay, so I also did for you these sheets here. This broke down our expenditures. So this is directly from our bank statements, and then I have to go back a little bit later, give you anything that's outstanding, which are some of those bills that you're gonna see separately on your check register. And we have to go back and also make sure we completely reconcile those records. We've started making sure that we catch up with that since the AG's order and getting that information in, but here are the checks that cleared. If you're looking at me, it's May at the first top you should be looking at. So in May, Mrs. Hinton, how did the city spend this money? Okay, I can walk you through each one of these. If you're looking at the first one, it says City of Marion checks cleared. This is what has gone through the bank. Okay, expenditures in May, those check numbers, we paid the prosecutor $650. You know that you signed a check for Minority Trucking for the garbage truck repairs, $2,617.60. Check numbers are right there for you. It will match your records. Gabriel Jones did some repairs in the truck for $175. You have municipal worker comp fund. This is our insurance for the workers' comp. If somebody got hurt on the job, we can cover those particular things. We sent them an electronic check for $10,985.76. Okay, the monthly payment for that is about $2,000 and something. You'll see that as first insurance. Okay, but this is the initial payment. So, and also coming down there, Alabama Department State Taxes, $3,604 there. Alabama Power e-bills. So if you have to just look at the bills in details, I have some of the bills over here. But we have probably about 22 to maybe something odd bills for Alabama Power. Every lift station, the lights on the street corners, Lafayette Street, lights over by the helicopter pad, the lights going down the walking trail, all of those different things, and some of them are getting really high in the water department, but I'm not on water yet, and I'll talk about that shortly. But these particular bills came out electronically. Councilman Kenny was asking me for ACHs. He's like, Mrs. Hinton, what bills are you paying online that are basically that you're not signing a check for? So these things that you see, Alabama Power here, AT&T, it's a phone system, part of the phone systems there. Blue Cross Blue Shield, the match only was last month, in the month of May, we paid Blue Cross Blue Shield $21,217.91. The match part that came, that was the employer's match. The employee, what came out of their check in the month of May for those pay periods was $5,575.97. Biweekly payroll for those periods, if you see the dates that I put there, I transferred biweekly payroll PPE. It told you I transferred for the PPE means payroll ending, okay? That's my language, but it's language throughout all of accounting processes. So it's payroll ending. You may not know what that means, but that's payroll ending for us. So the payroll for 5/6/2026, this is gonna be $34,854.54. That was net. So your gross is about right at 50-something thousand, but that was net, okay? Your 5/20/26 biweekly payroll transferred another $34,925.23. Your Caterpillar backhoe, which is on ACH, it is $1,100.21 a month. If you go down your lease services, what you'll see it look like on your bills when you're getting these bills, it says gray bar. But lease service equipments are every phone system throughout City Hall, the police department, down at the shop. I think someone told me Jean's phone or nutrition phone wasn't working. They have to report those things to us because we're paying for those phone systems a month. They should be working. That's a matter of logging a call and telling AT&T or either Gray Bar that the phone that we're leasing from them is not working and they need to repair it. Okay, so I don't know that unless they tell me that the phone is not working. I think Councilwoman LaCroix mentioned it to us about the nutrition phone not being in service. But we're paying that a month. It's about 7 different lines, so you'll see 001 at the end, 002, 003, 004, all the way to 7 on some of the other lines. Okay, Marion USP, United States Postal Service. So when you see me transact that, that's to, if it's about $871 every month, that's because we're mailing off water bills. Got it? If it's something that's shorter than that, it's going to be a certified letter or something like that. Or if we're sending out for stamps to send out business license stamps to mail out these bills that we have to mail out to different companies. Or if we have to send out, let's say, a letter to someone for zoning or anything to that nature that hasn't gone out via email, that is going to be supplies from the post office done with the debit card through general fund, okay? Parker Tire called you guys about that. So that already went through the account. That was some tires for the water department, or that the police had used for the Crown Vic, $3,541.04. Pruitt Oil, we're paying them in advance each month. When they dump gas, we're paying them. So these are the things that have gone through the account. We gave them $5,000 in the month of May, and then we came back and did about $600. RSA ERS means Retirement Systems of Alabama, and then ERS is Employer Retirement Services, okay? That's what that means. So when you see that on the account, that's retirement stuff. Retirement has 2 sides like Blue Cross. One side the city pays for the employer side, the other side comes out of the employee's check. So one side goes to payroll and the other side comes out of the 80 account for general fund. Got it? Okay, so this, when you see it just says RSA ERS, that means I took it out for the employer's match. That's $2,591.04. Fire gas is also an ACH. So what you're looking at, if it's not a check number, it's an ACH. It's something that was done on the card or something that was done online. Got it? Okay, Fire gas, of course, you know that's the gas company. It's low right now because it's the summertime, okay? But as time progresses, it gets cold, it's gonna go up. Okay, if you're looking at that, the Spring Hill was training and we did some corrections there because they had already taken it off of the accounts, but most of you guys have already paid it and reimbursed it back to us, okay? Remember the Spring Hill Hotel, that's where you guys stayed in Montgomery. So that you see on the card is outlined for the training section that you guys did in Montgomery. The Verizon phone that we replaced from Gene when his thing was down, all that's there. Vistaprint is our website. Zoom is what you see here. Okay, all those things are self-explanatory. We took in that month, remember, I think it said about 200-some thousand. We spent out about 147,345.85. What was that?
You said that's electronic. Check number 2. Okay, gotcha.
Check numbers are at the top, and so nothing. If you don't see a check number, that's because it hasn't gone out. Okay, this is what has cleared the bank. Okay, June, what has cleared the bank? We sent out all those check numbers you see there, digital information, that is bold. For our IT services, we pay an allocation to the Perry County Library. I think Councilman Kenny was asking again, Ms. Hinton, I don't see in the budget, library. Remember you asked that particular question. That 625, I think it's about $7,000 a year, about 13,000 for, the not E911, but the ambulance service, but that is there. Alabama Tom Bigby is our garbage truck. Remember, we'll be paying on that. Remember, I gave you a form that said to 2032. Okay, we'll be paying on that garbage truck to 2032, and we'll be paying this amount, $2,072.77, that debt service. Chestnut Sanders and Sanders, we did the double pay for just retainer fee. Remember, we went back and added an amount into the budget, but we are just paying them the retainer fee. So be nice to our attorney, because we got a lot more we need to pay them for mileage and everything coming here each time. Marion Veterinary Clinic, we paid them $300 to house the animals each month. The library was a double payment that we sent out from May, because you didn't see it on May. So you see that $625 again. The judge, $750. The ambulance service, I just told you, $1,100 that we paid the Perry County Commission. Alabama Tom Bigby, we sent out 2 checks in the month of June. That payment there, we paid the prosecutor the $650. Bridget Suttles for the depot refund. When someone rents the depot and they come back and say, well, I'm not gonna have a party, I want my money back. So we gave them back the $150 that comes back out of the treasury. So that's what you're seeing there for someone who did not host their event and they wanted their money back. Okay, Carl Martin did some work, $8. Dorothy Childs wanted her money back for the depot. The $150 returned again. Gabriel Jones, $300 repairs. K&S State Bank is our more that we financed that more last year. It's about $16,000 to $19,000, and we paid them once a year, about $6,000 and some dollars. I think we have one more payment to pay on them, so it'll be included in the next budget. Marion Fire Runs, these are when the fire departments are called out, the volunteer fire department gets $10 a run. The library, again, catching those payments up, $625. E911, we give them a monthly allocation of $2,500. And then you guys, I also broke down that other E911 payment was for the new radios that you guys voted on. Okay, E911 monthly allocation, they picked up another check for $2,500. And then we had some difficulties with one of the cars that was at Production Paint and Body for $29,990. Okay, so do you guys see a check that went through the bank that you did not authorize? No, you do not. Those are checks that went through, got signatures, and were approved. Okay, on this side, stuff that had to come out of the account that we can't control, state taxes. Okay, we made sure we caught those taxes, and they're there. You see 3 separate payments of those particular taxes: $39.83.95, $43.44, $55, $4,458.30. All went to the state of Alabama. Okay, power bill for those street lights, they're really high. They run about $13,000 to $15,000 a month. But we make sure they are not disconnected. You got a little bit on that bill. Sometimes you can't pay all of it. You'll pay something on, so that's that there. And the Amazon, we have to get office paper and binders there, and more binders to the AG's request. So all that came there. It was a little bit cheaper than ordering from our other company, and we think we're kind of going to go that side there. AT&T bill. So the wireless boxes there for our police cars has to have internet services to run those cars, so that when they're pulling people over, they can run that data and all that information through the system. So they have little boxes, and we have one that we work alongside with that as well. So those boxes cost us that. It's about $85 a box, okay? The Blue Cross Premium, the employers matched $12,142.20. We're coming up on that payment again by the end of the month. And also bi-weekly payroll for, you see those 2 pay periods for the payroll, what was switched out, $35,893, and then another $34,000. The backhoe finance again, the Chapter 13 is a garnishment that's withheld from one or more of the employees. And that money was transferred. We don't keep money just sitting in payroll. We have to transfer that from general fund. It's money that's withheld from their check. You have to put it over in payroll. The charge fees, the child support, First Financial Insurance, that is workers' comp. Lease services is Gray Bar on the phone systems. NAPA for supplies that went through the account that we called you for. Post office supplies, mailing there, also monthly payroll. there's a difference between bi-weekly payroll and monthly payroll. Monthly payroll are you guys, okay? Bi-weekly payroll are all the employees. So when you see monthly payroll transferred over, it's for you guys around the table. The transfer of payroll to cover state taxes, if I transfer something out to cover state taxes, or if it's child support, remember there's no money sitting there, I have to transfer from general fund to cover everything that came out of the checks, okay? Crude oil, paying them up front, getting those departmental fuel, we paid $24.8065, then another $5,000, then $34.18, and then retirement withheld came out of employees' checks, $4,000, then another $2,619.22, then another $2,691.56. Payroll withheld varies, okay? So it will not be the same, and let me tell you why. You have employees who are working overtime, employees that are, every time they're working overtime, we have to match that pay to the employee's retirement, okay? So it's not gonna be the same numbers. If they're working 20 hours overtime and someone worked 5 hours overtime, different, it's gonna vary. So if you see the numbers go up and down, that's the reason why, based on the report that we submit to the state of Alabama. RSA, those are gonna be the employer's match part. So RSA, ERS, remember I just told you that, this is what we're matching. The city has to match the employee's retirement. And they cannot, that is another question. If a person does not stay here longer than 10 years, they do not become what we call vetted. In order to get the match that the city puts in for them, they have to stay here 10 years at least, okay? Then they get all the match money that we put on their side, okay? If they do not stay here longer than 10 years, they lose that particular match money, okay? So that's what we're paying for match. The services of the account, Spire Gas, the website, and also Zoom. Again, we spent $187,733.99 for the month of June. Okay, and what has come out of the account so far in July? You see here power bills. You see the ADT security system. You see the payroll for July 15th, and I think I put it in. Should be. I think that's a misprint there for the number, but all that's July 3rd and July 15th are the two payrolls that we've had. So one is $32,260.70 and one is $33,618. That's just a misprint there, okay? But the numbers are the correct numbers. The check numbers at the top, and I think I did not go back. I was flying there for the persons that we paid with those check numbers, but I'll definitely get them to you. The $500, I know that's probably just a retainer fee. Those particular lease services, Napa, Garnishment, Post Office, Pruitt Oil, Spire Gas, the Selma Cash and Carry, that is not Miss Hinton. Y'all called me and said the employees are hot outside, they need Gatorade, is what y'all told me, and I drove down to Selma and got Gatorade. Councilman Willie Jackson called me and Councilman Kenny, spoke with them, talked to the mayor, talked to most of the, I don't know if I spoke with you, Councilwoman, you're kind of looking a little different, but I thought somebody probably mentioned it to you, but that was Gatorade for the employees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
How
so,
come you had to go to Selma? Why could we not get it here?
we ordered it from, we usually order it from Black Belt. They did not have any in stock at the time, and then we ordered some from Food Value. And the reason,
Large quantities.
yes, so we went down there to get some immediately so that they could have some, and we still got the orders coming in from Food Value. So we do utilize the vendors here, but they did not have any in stock at the time. Yes. Okay, so that was $115.83, and so far this month, $93,621.65. Okay, any questions on what has been expended? You will not see anything different that came out of the account. This is as of Thursday or Friday, so anything today or after that is not on this particular sheet, okay? Remember, we're still in July, and July is not done. I just gave you an analysis of what it looks like. Okay, I'll go through the same with now sewer, water. Your account analysis, I really have to get with the bank. I've never seen these different analysis charges that they're calling us that we're getting billed for. It looks like this, okay? It says Marion Bank, so it's water. It says water sewer at the top. So it's $58.74. They're charging us account analysis fees. Alabama Power, those are power bills. Remember I told you we have about 22 different power bills. Lift station, booster stations, whatever it is, if it's running power, City of Marion's paying it. Some of them are as high right now as $60,000. If you can't pay everything on it, you're gonna pay something at least towards it, because we take in probably $60,000 a month for water completely. So there's no way you can pay a $60,000 power bill. What is happening is that I think the engineer even told you guys, we're fixing a lot of these problems, and now a lot more things are working, and our bills are shooting through the roof. Okay, so, and I'm looking and scratching my head. We did make some adjustments that we were trying to do some rate stuff differently, but I'm scratching my head because these bills, now that we're fixing stuff and we're going through all these different phases of these different projects, the bills are starting to increase. And it is kind of scary looking at some of these numbers and seeing the bills go up, but the money has to go up to kind of match it. So what I'm having to do is more management side to make sure nothing is cut off. Make sure, because you can't have a booster station or a lift station cut off. If that cuts off, it's gonna back some sewer back up somewhere and something's gonna be a mishap. So we're paying something towards it. We're fixing a lot of these problems, but we're gonna have to move forward with how revenue is gonna be handled, okay? So I'm just kind of giving you a little insight as to what's happening and what I'm seeing on my end. Got it? Alabama Power, AT&T phone lines, this is internet services. Mr. Moore has an internet out there, so we bill it to water thing. And then if he has to do reports, he has one of those little boxes as well that we give the police department, so that if something, if he has to log in and boot something back up, he has access to do that, okay? Check number, we ran garbage fees, $25,000, $20,000. The jetter trailer is leased direct. You'll see De La Range or something to that nature come through the account. That's the jetter trailer we bought last year. I think it was financed at about $96,000. The loan for the Grady Well, you'll see that each month is on the ACH. It's $3,616.97. What we did with Pace Lab, Pace Analytical, we put it on auto draft, because if we miss Pace Lab, what they would do at ADEM, from ADEM's point, from the state, they will tell us that we have to send a notice out to all of the citizens and tell them that we didn't test their water. So what we did was we put it on auto. This is ACH, so that the office never forgets it. We don't wait on you guys to, if we have a meeting or not have a meeting, we don't want to say that we're not testing the water or those lines or anything else. So it's on auto, and when you see it come out of the account, it's the lab testing for the water system, okay? They send that off to be tested, and it's running probably about $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Okay, so that's Pace Analytical. You'll constantly see it being drafted through the account, and that's just to save you and me, and so that we don't have to send those notices out, be embarrassed in the newspaper and say we're not testing the water system, okay? The Verizon phone lines, and then the fee to Hawkins that month. Remember, we sent out that $40,000, I think Councilman Kenny, I called him, we went up to the bank. Councilwoman, I let you know about that when we did the wire transfer there. That is on that outline. That month, we spent $124,979.80, okay? Month of May, June kind of looked the same way. Count analysis, the charge there, garbage fees, Pace Analytical, the loan to Grady Well, the ACH to AT&T payments, Verizon, we spent out $57,087.27. When that Hawkins kind of hit us the month before at $40,000, it kind of took a little buck of our monies that I would have normally used for Alabama Power or something to that nature. So it was a management part at that particular time, so I got to kind of maneuver around that, okay? So you don't see any Alabama Power that month, okay? Got it? Okay, in July, so where we are now, what has been sent out of the account and what is going through, count analysis charge again, Alabama Power, some of the things that I've gone to kind of catch up on some of those things. I always pay those smaller bills so that they get paid on out of there. You see all those different power bills come out there. A garbage fee check again. Garbage fees is going to cover, it's not going to stay in that water account, because the garbage department, sanitation, runs sanitation. It's just collected in the garbage account, okay? So that's why it comes out. Pace Analytical lab testing, that has come out so far, and the check to cover garbage fees. The month ended, and the salaries there, $20,000 so far expended in July out of that account, $40,217.43, okay? This is what has come out, has gone into the account. I reviewed that with you, and I showed you what we expended out of the account and some checks that we have outstanding. I can go through those with you check by check. Let me give you these allocation reports first. Okay, these are allocation reports for the month of May, Mayor, and that just shows how my team is receiving it into the system. Anytime someone comes in to pay their bill, they should be receiving their bills, and on my end, I have to go back and channel credit card receipts, and basically when someone pays online, I have to do my thing behind the scenes and make sure we're calculating those credit card charges as well. Mayor, this is June, they have May. And Okay, and Councilwoman LaCroix was asking me for this, but I'm gonna always give it to you. So you don't have to worry about kind of asking me, guys. I'm gonna make sure I give it to you, but we didn't have a meeting in between there in that last meeting. I reprinted it over to make sure we didn't have any run-throughs. So when you hear me talk and you say, this is into what we took in for water garbage, this is the total analysis. Okay, in May, we receipted in, outside of checks that would have gone back, insufficient funds, or people's monies who just weren't any good. We had one that was electronic that the company pulled back for whatever reason, so we have to go back and take that back out of the account because they pulled that particular amount back. But my team had already received it into the system, and we've already turned those credit cards over. So it tells you by day how we turn those receipts into, and where Ms. Hinton is getting those numbers. Ms. Hinton, how are you knowing what to take out for garbage? How are you knowing what goes to water? So those bills are broken down on the bills, water, garbage, and sewer, and when we're receiving them, this is how we're coming up with the numbers as to how to maneuver the monies around, okay? $62,000, if you go to the far right corner under net, tells you $62,580.63 is what we got in for the month of May. I just told you we're running some power bills that's that much. And if you think about it and you start taking off garbage, you don't have $62,000, right? So if you took that garbage of $16,000 away from that $62,000, you don't have $62,000 in your water system. Okay? So we're kind of running on a little patch here, but what we are doing is starting to, I think we'll put a notice out tomorrow. People haven't paid their water bills, they're gonna get cut off. Council members do not call me if they're cut off, because if you have to pay and I have to pay, they should have to pay, okay? So they're gonna be paying these water bills, and this is just, it's just time out for all this kind of craziness and band-aiding this stuff, because the city has to operate. We can't get chemicals, we can't pay power bills, we can't, unless citizens do their part, we cannot do our part. And it makes it harder on people like me who are sitting here trying to fumble around with the numbers, and you don't have enough money to do what you need to do.
So when are we gonna start cutting them out?
So, probably by Thursday and Friday, they're gonna be cut off. We try not to do cut off on Friday because you run into the weekend. So, we don't want that to happen. So usually Wednesday and Thursday, we do cut off so people can come in to actually pay and get their water back up and running. They have those days to actually pay. We don't do it, we wait until after the 15th. 15th just happened last week because bills are due by the 15th, and it gives them time to come in and pay. And we also will make sure that when we put the notice out, we'll tell people that they can come and make payment arrangements with us, because we don't want to have to cut off these bills and you have to pay this massive amount. We know that people are working on fixed incomes, but we want you to pay something. It's not fair for people to have to pay and other people not to, okay? So that's just that.
Are you saying that you all are sending out notices that they're being cut off, or are you saying they're being cut off? And if they are being cut off, does the bill say, like, disconnect notice if not paid by this time?
Yes, it says pay by 15th, and what the amount is after that. And what I will do is I'm gonna put a notice out on social media, so they know, and I'll do the run there, and that's just a courtesy. People know their bill. I know my bill is due by the 15th. The bill says that.
It's a 30-day delinquent.
We usually give them. What we have done is that we don't cut. If you have paid us within 2 months, we give you a 2-month grace period, just like Alabama Power and the rest. So we do 60 days.
Okay.
So as long as you have paid us something in a period of 60 days, we do not cut you off. We kind of let you not run over to that particular point. But if you run over to that point, and then it's just at that point you have to be cut off. So it's the 60-day mark. That's where we are with that.
Then when they come in and pay, they pay all their back fee, or is there a turn-on fee?
It's a reconnection fee.
Okay.
And you have to pay, we generally like to make sure they pay at least 65-70% of the money, because if it's really, really high, and we've seen them as high as $2,000 and $3,000. We've seen them as high as $6,000, yes. They've been that high, so, that's gonna be tough for somebody to come up with 2 and 3. And it's probably some time period, and then it's someone, if you haven't checked on a leak or something, and you need to, some people just can't repair leaks at their homes. That's not gonna be a city problem, that's gonna be a personal thing, but we kinda try to work with them. We've had a customer say that, Ms. Hinton, I have a leak at my house. I'm trying to get it repaired, but I just can't get it repaired. I know I have a leak. So we kind of work with them. We have payment plans that we can put people on a payment plan. So we are working with the citizens, but the citizens have to work with us as well. So, but I just wanted to make sure you guys know that, so you don't come running saying
Oh, I'm not, I've been wanting
Okay.
it to happen.
60,000 for the month of June is where we were with the collections. We should be in the $80,000 and $100,000. This is pretty much nothing. So we should not even be collecting less than $80,000 to $100,000 each month. Okay.
What is the reconnection fee?
Reconnection is only small. It's only $30-something. But when you look at your bill, let's say your bill is $500. We're going to tell you how to pay the whole $5. Or let's say if you haven't paid us in 4 months, then of course you're going to have to pay the entire bill. But if you're like 2 months and going into the 3rd month, we might give you a little break and say you have to pay 75 to 80% of the bill. And we calculate that and go from there.
This is something we haven't been doing, right?
We have, but the thing with COVID and all the rest of the different things and what they've allowed, then we have a number of people on payment plans. So when you have people who have, the council before has said that they could pay, it was very low. They said they could pay $50, pay their minimum bill and $25 on their bill. So you imagine if you have a $200 bill, and that's not me, that's the council's beforehand and even before this one. So even before the last one, if you say that you got an $800 bill and you say pay your minimum bill, well, your minimum bill that month may have been $5,803, but your past due was $800 and some dollars. And if you have to only pay $25 on your $800, what the system is doing, we don't turn the late fees off. The system is automatically billing you a $10 late fee in there every time because you haven't paid your bill in its entirety. So the system is gonna, and we can't go and just turn it off for each customer. It's gonna automatically just bill it into their bill. When there's an outstanding bill, the system recognizes there's an outstanding bill. So that's just how it is. But we have payment plans, we're working that out, and we're gonna get into that because we have to get this revenue to make sure we can pay these bills. Questions with water bills, allocations, receipts, or anything that's collected there. I gave you some data for payroll. Okay, if you look at that data, it's just numbers. You see that thing that says departmental gross pay? Okay, if you're looking at that, I think they stapled it backwards, and after I printed it out, it may be July at the front, so I'm gonna go through that. The last pay period, which was July 15th, general government office was $5,863.74. It tells you it was for 4 employees. And it tells you male, female, what it was. Police, it tells you $11,814.02. 7 employees. Tells you 2 males, 2 females. 1 female is technically in my department because there's only 1, which is the chief. And how that is that Ms. Curry used to work. She kind of dual roles between the police department and my department. So it's kind of split there. So that is true information. It's just that she was put in the system like that. Okay. Municipal court 1, and street department, you see 12, 13,611.73. Sanitation 2, $2,071.75. Water 3, and that's kind of water and sewer. 6,277.39, and nutrition site 3,165. It tells you how many employees. A total, I think you guys asked me, said we don't have that many employees. This says we have 33 employees. Add you guys in there, about six of you guys, and then 2 fire people. You're running anywhere in a number of 43 to 45 employees, 50 in a given year, okay? We never go over a budget of 50 employees because we cannot handle anything outside of 50 employees. That has been my magic number. And so that is there for your numbers, and that total for that gross was 44,000. Remember I told you I transferred, you saw that 30-something thousand, well the total was 44,206.63. When you look at gross, you're talking about stuff that comes out of their checks, you're talking about child support, you're talking about retirement, you're talking about all of those particular things, insurance, and also taxes, okay? So that's your gross amount. You go to the next page, July 1st, we took about 46,193.64, and it tells you the amount of employees that we had were 35. Don't look at that number there. But at the bottom number, it says 35 employees. And when it says the actual count of employees, that 104, that is the number of employees that are listed in our system. whether they're active or inactive, but the number of active employees is 35 for that month. Okay, if somebody quits and leave the job, your numbers go up and down, okay? We've had, 2 people that weren't on the last payroll to leave, so they're not there, that's why you see 33 instead of 35, okay? And in the month of June the 17th, because they stapled this backwards, I'm going backwards, okay? And it tells you general government, police, municipal, street, sanitation, water, and so on, 46,536.15. Okay, there's no way we can take this data out, guys. I don't even have access to remove this data. I would have to call our accounting system software people, and they will not remove this data out of the system because it has to be in the system, okay? So there's nothing that we can do for these numbers. If it's taken out, you can see who did it, when they did it, and what time they did it, okay? So these numbers are numbers that are actually in the computer. When I'm giving you numbers for budget, those are actual numbers that we're working with. Okay, you still had 35 employees on the June, and you had 35 that other time, and you had 33 for that first number, 46,536.15. Okay, for the June 3rd, that first pay period, and like I said, they stapled these backwards. I'm so sorry. We had some officers and different things to, I think, within that particular point that we had on and are not there. So that is your number. There was 37 in the month of June 3rd, okay? And we have some part-time people that work sometime and do not work a lot more other times, okay? So 49,375.95. Remember I told you how, I will say how they're doing really well in the police department, because beforehand, these numbers were in the 60,000 and the 50,000s for our payroll, okay? These numbers are now down to the 40-some thousand for gross payroll, okay? So you're running anywhere from 80 to your 90-some thousand at a payroll a month. Got it? On a given time, you may do $100,000 payroll, but I would say your payroll is at your 80 to your $90,000. If you look at those numbers, and that's only if you're running some 3 payrolls. You have that twice a year where you're running 3 payrolls. You got those 3 pay periods. Okay, May, $49,004.44, 37 employees. So if you looked at May, June, you were 37, 35, 2 left, and 2, you're still July, and then July again, you have 33 employees. And give or take, let me say this, so you gotta keep in mind, if the numbers are going up and down, it's not because we're hiring. You have people out on sick leave and all those different things that, that may leave or take time off. If they have FMLA, they'll come out of my system. Doesn't mean that we fired them, but because of their medical records, we can take them out, but do not get rid of their job. And we have to protect those particular things. So numbers will kind of go here and there. We have two, I think, to 3 people maybe on sick leave that may not have enough time to get a paycheck, but they have time to actually stay into the system. So that's why you see the 37 and the 35 numbers in employees, okay? Any questions for me? I know Councilwoman LaCroix and Councilman Kenny asked to see payroll actual numbers. I will go through those with them at a later time. I am not releasing those out in its entirety, but you're welcome to come and view them in my office, okay? So I am making that clear before the council. There's nothing hidden here. You're welcome to see that information, but I just want you to be able to view it, okay? So that we protect the city. That is my report. I gave you bills into your packages, and pretty much most of those things that are on those bills have already either been sent out, ACH, and you guys have your bills before you, so that I can walk through that with you. And I don't think I even have mine. I am so sorry, my report usually takes the longest. I'm so sorry, but the financial information is important. Look in your packages there, and you would see those, says check register. So what the check register is every check that is put into our system, okay? I ran it from May, so from the time when we didn't have that prior meeting, I ran it from May all the way up until current. So it could pick up any check that had been run through the system. Okay, it should be like the second one in your package if you saw the packages. I'm gonna yield the floor to you guys to ask me any questions that you may have concerning anything that's on the bill that sticks out to you. that you may have a question about, or a vendor that I can answer to the best of my ability that any of the departments chose to have there before you. Does everyone have a check register? Councilman, is all of your pages? Okay. I know a name you may not be familiar with is the AXON. I'm not looking at my thing. There is Axon. What that is those are the tasers that were financed for the police department. Just so you'll be familiar with that. It's a once a year kind of thing, and we pay a payment on it. Those tasers cost us about $21,000 or $25,000. So we broke it down to pay them per year.
I'm curious, Amazon payments, how do you pay those with a check?
So we had to do it with the card. Remember when I explained that on the thing there, on the bill there? What I did with the check was so that there's never any confusion. Regardless whether it comes out ACH or online payment, you still have to go in and make a matching check to reflect the record that has gone through the bank. Okay?
So the account that you take, the card comes out of, you have to replace it with a
I
check?
have to replace it with a check, yes. And that is just good accounting records, because you don't want to make sure that you're taking something out of the account and you don't have a matching check for it. Even though it was ACH, we're matching the check so that our records accurately reflect what has gone through the city accounts. If there's something that jumps out to you that you're not familiar with, please do not hesitate to stop and ask. The only things that are not there is Chief Horton's checks, and we've kind of pretty much not have his listing here, but those are, he gets funding from the state, and they have enough monies there to take care of their checks, and that's just kind of me not having it here. I had so much information, I left it over there in the office.
We've got two from First Citizens Bank, that's the,
That's gonna be the truck, the white truck that the department is driving, and also we have to pay the line of credit thing that is in there. So we're making the payment
comes
to
from, okay.
First Citizens Bank, yes.
that's what we, okay. I'm with you, I can't get it out, but I know what you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am. No question is a bad question, so please ask away, ask your questions that you have reservation about, something that you're not familiar with seeing. Please make sure that you ask me that question. I'll explain to the best of my ability, and I'm sure we have an invoice over here to match it as well.
All right, Thomasville Honda, is that,
Okay, so the zero turn more, the blade on it or something
is
broke.
a Honda?
No, it's not a Honda. The Thomasville Honda was a repair shop that they bought into me as a bill that they actually did the repairs at. So when the lawnmower had the issue last week in the grass cutting, I think the mayor made the statement that we're back up and running now. They had to take it down there to get the repairs. It was not under the warranty, because otherwise, remember, we just got this mower that should have been under warranty, but that was kind of a default something within our department, so that wasn't covered under the warranty. So they took it to that location to get it repaired.
All right, another one, I'm sure it's a payment that we owe is from the Lodge Land Public Finance, what is that
So
for?
that's our Jetta trailer. Remember I said it's gonna
Your
be.
Jetta,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. It comes out, the Lodge is how we have it in our system, but it's gonna be leased direct on that water bill, thing that I gave you. It's like $1,917 somewhat in there. And those, even though it says outstanding outside of that, those have already gone through the account. So that is on an auto draft. Remember I said it automatically comes out of the account. It's a matter of us going back to reconcile those records. Any other questions or concerns? And I know you guys got that, but we've kind of gone through, what we put in the system is pretty much what we kind of made sure we talked to you about before we kind of put it there or done something to that nature, okay? Any questions or concerns or comments, something that jumps out at you? Mayor, if there's no questions or concerns regarding that, I would hope that the council would move to make sure that, keep in mind, I know you guys do have this question for me. Ms. Hinton, can we send the bills out right now? I know Councilwoman LaCroix always asks that. When you make these motions to pay the bills, what you're doing is making a motion to pay them, and because we're getting monies in increments, and no one pays at the same time, okay? So, as soon as the monies are readily available, that's when I send the bills out. Okay?
Any questions? Motion on the floor to pay our bills.
I know I did a lot of talking.
Motion on the floor to pay our bills as presented.
So,
Moved by Councilman Harrison, second by Councilman Cook. All in favor, aye. Any opposers? Ayes have, motion carried.